Hi, welcome back to A Spiritual Life. I'm Carrie and I'm here to help you to move from your head to your heart, to go from surviving to thriving and to live a more conscious spiritual life. Today's talk is about acceptance. We're going to be talking about what acceptance is, why we resist acceptance, acceptance of self, acceptance of others, and how mindfulness can help us to accept all those things, ourselves, others, people, situations, everything. So lots to go through. Let's get stuck in. So acceptance, what is it? I'm going to start today with a quote from Andy Puddicombe. If I don't know if you know him, he is the co-founder of the Headspace app, and I came across him years ago. He's also a former monk, and he said about acceptance that I welcome wholeheartedly whatever arises, having given up the idea that things should be other than what they are. I'll read that again. I welcome wholeheartedly whatever arises, having given up the idea that things should be other than what they are. So I thought that was quite a good way to start today, talking about what acceptance is. So that is saying, I welcome what comes in, having given up. So what you're bringing in, what you're accepting, I'm accepting whatever comes in this moment. Having given up, let go of the idea, the thought that things should be other than what they are. And if we keep it to that simple phrase, I welcome wholeheartedly whatever arises, having given up the idea that things should be other than what they are. It shows us about acceptance and reducing, or at best, having no expectation. So acceptance is about accepting what arises in the moment, what you can and cannot do with it, and losing any expectation, any outcome. It's like holding those at the same time. So if we lived in this acceptance world, how would we feel? How would you feel if you lived in a world of acceptance? Free, liberating, because you're accepting of everyone and everything. Less stressful, because you'd have less expectation of yourself and others, and you'd accept things as they are, that you wouldn't feel the stress. And that way you'd have better relationships too. So why don't we do this? Why don't we accept? Why don't we live in this world of acceptance all the time? We might do it sometimes here, there and everywhere, but not all the time. Why not? Because of our interpretation of it and what we think it means and what we'd have to give up. So acceptance, to some people, when you say that, the thing is with all this talk, mindfulness, you say one thing and people think it's the other thing. You say one thing, then you're dismissing the total opposite and you're going the other way to the extremes. And that's not what mindfulness is. If I say something, it doesn't mean I mean the complete opposite of something else. So people think of acceptance and they'll say, well, Carrie, that's just giving up. That's resigning. Resign to the fact, resign to life. We'll just, let life happen to us. We're not in control of anything, and we'll live like that then, shall we? It's not that. Acceptance is you change what you can. If that's what you want to do, you change it. But if you can't, don't. And don't worry about it. when we're not in a state of acceptance, we're always wanting something else to be a different way. And that's where we come into this next bit about we want to control outcomes. We have an expectation of someone or something. That's normal, that's natural. It's about safety, security, having a plan. But it's also so that's like the ego and the survival mode kicking in again. But it's also about a fear of the unknown. If we don't have control over certain people, maybe, or things or outcomes, if we don't have control of that, then we don't know what the outcome's going to be. And that fear is a fear of the unknown. And it's that, when we get right down to the core, it's a fear. And when we're in fear, we go into fight, flight response, which again is the survival. But we can be in tune with our bodies enough and quieten down those thoughts, quieten down the ego a little bit. Just say, look, I'm okay with not knowing the outcome, or I'm okay that I can't change this outcome. Just let it be. We'll be fine. We're going to be fine because of this. And just try and quieten that noise that's in there. So acceptance isn't about giving up. And another reason why we don't is because of controlling the outcomes. So an analogy of this to get you on par with this. Got some lovely flowers behind here, okay? We buy flowers for ourselves, other people, to make us happy, to give us a little bit of happiness. I've got my little sheets here. So we buy flowers to cheer us up and make others happy. We accept the flowers for what they are. They are beautiful in their shape, in their colour, in their smell. But we know they will die in maybe 2 to 3 weeks, if we're lucky. We know they won't give us lasting happiness, and yet we don't get upset when the inevitable happens, and we then have to throw them away, right? So why is that? Why don't we resist that? Why are we accepting of flowers and the fact that they're going to die? So it depends what it is, right? You'll be saying to me, well, it's just flowers, that's why. Yeah, because you're detached from it. You're detached from flowers. Flowers are things. They die, you're going to get something else. You're detached. You don't have an attachment to them or to the outcome. So this is a little bit of an example of how our day can go when we're caught up in control and expectation and we're not really accepting. So we think our happiness is out there, external to us. For example, if our day goes to plan, someone likes our idea at work, we have our favourite meal made for us, our kids are behaving, then if someone was to ask if we had a good day, we would probably say yes. However, if the story, because that's all it is, went more along the lines of, I slept in, I didn't have time for breakfast, I was late to get the kids to school, my boss was in a bad mood, work was really busy, so I didn't stop all day, the kids were playing up while I was trying to make tea, etc. And then if someone was to ask us if we had a good day, we would probably say no. And we would likely relay the whole story to them. The more we repeat the story, the more we believe it as true. Interestingly, we probably wouldn't really relay the positive story. We probably wouldn't relay the positive story. Think back to the Velcro and Teflon analogy. Positive slides off like Teflon and negative sticks like Velcro. So let's see how acceptance would work in this scenario. We're running late. There's nothing we can do about that. We can't go back in time. So if we can't do anything about it, that's it then. We accept it. And everyone around us has to accept it. There's no time for breakfast. We could grab something on the way, a banana at least. That's something we can change. Boss is in a bad mood. That's his problem. He's probably got some of his own things he's not accepting. We can't change this, but we can change our reaction to it through looking at it from his perspective. So there's probably something going on with him, stories in his head, judgments, pressures, stress of why, and he's not got these tools. So the only way he can express that is by snapping, being in a bad mood. But we can't do anything about that. So we just accept. We don't know why, but we can just accept that he is in a bad mood. Work's really busy and I didn't stop all day. Well, as true as this may be, we could make time. When we tune into our bodies more and realise and feel the stress start, we can go and take a time out. We can have a toilet break and just do a 3-minute meditation. Even if you haven't got time for dinner, which I think is wrong, you should always make time for a break in the day if you're working. But even if that's the case, you can always have a toilet break, and a 3-minute meditation will help to bring that stress level down. And then when you go back to the chaos of work, you will go back in a calmer, more focused and productive mind. Sorry, I feel like a little newsreader here. I've got a lot of notes. So self-acceptance then. What are the stories you tell yourself about yourself? I'm fat, I'm ugly, nobody likes me, I'm not worthy of that job. Just some examples. Well, firstly, we need to think, are these true? And are they your beliefs, someone else's, or society's? Excuse me. If you think of the fat or ugly one, and you'd never seen a television at all, ever in your life, do you think you would feel that way? If you hadn't seen all the adverts, would you feel that? Do you think you'd believe that? So are they even yours, these beliefs, for a start off? Mindfulness helps to learn to accept who you are right now, in the present moment. Do you want to change? So let's take the fat example. Do you want to change? Do you want to be less fat? If the answer is yes, then change it. Can you change it? Do you want to change? Can you change it? And if the answer is yes, then go ahead. Do what you need to do. Get yourself on some healthy eating program or some form of exercise or both. But do something about it. And if the answer is no, then begin to accept yourself. Love yourself. Change that story of you and make a new one. Because all that matters, really, is what you think of you. Because you are carrying you around all the time. You're not going to be with people all the time. What matters is you. And that's how we start the process of self-acceptance. If it's something you want to change about you, then go about and do that. If you're happy with it and people are just saying these things to you, then accept that. Accept that that's the way you are. If they want to think of you like that, that's fine. We're going to move on to others in a minute. But if you're happy with you, then it doesn't matter what people say. Moving on to acceptance of others. Accept others as they are in the moment. They may be telling themselves false stories. When kids act out of sorts or misbehave, we don't write them off. We understand they're tired and hungry, that their behaviour is not their true self. So why do we give this unconditional love? Why don't we give this unconditional love to others? So we give it to our kids. Our kids are acting out, they're playing up. And we're like, oh, tired, they're hungry, it's okay. Because you know the innerness of your child, the true inner being of them is just whole and bliss and love. And they're only behaving like this because they're out of sorts with something. And that's unconditional love. So why don't we give it to other people? If we realise that they've got their own stories going on, they've got their own issues going on, then why do we not allow for that in other people? Because you can't change them. They may or may not do the same to you, but people tend to mirror what they see. So if you can show that acceptance to other people, they're more likely to eventually do the same back to you. But that's, again, not why we do this. We do this because all we can control is us. So you can't change other people. We need to accept that. We can talk to them and tell them how we feel about certain things, but our feelings are not their problem. The way we feel about something is not their problem. They're ours. If after having a discussion and they decide to change, then great. But if not, we must learn to accept that outcome and move on. So that's a bit about acceptance of others. And how mindfulness can help. So my example of how mindfulness helped in this situation is I did everything late in life, really, in society terms. I worked on cruise ships when I was in my early 20s rather than go to uni. I kept on being asked when I was going to get a proper job. I came off cruise ships and then I was asked when I'm going to get a place of my own. It went on. When are you going to get a boyfriend? When are you going to get married? When are you going to have a baby? It did my head in. The irony was the people who kept asking these things looked so unhappy. A mortgage, a spouse, kids, they appeared to be stressing and angry about everything. Oops, lost my place. So I began my mindfulness journey as I turned 30. And I'm glad I did, as it taught me that I don't need those things to be happy. I'm very grateful that I do have those things now. but they came when it was right for me and not on society or others' terms. And I was happy regardless of having them. So just to go back to the start of where we started all this, I welcome wholeheartedly whatever arises, having given up the idea that things should be other than what they are. So by recapping on that, still focusing on how mindfulness can help, I've come up with some affirmations that you can do when you're in the moment. When you're starting to feel out of control, you're wanting you've got an expectation around someone or something, you can think, number 1, I accept this moment right now without judgment. So the kids are shouting. You're about to flip your lid, right? Put your hand on your heart for a minute, take a breath. I accept this moment right now without judgment. Number 2, I will keep calm and peaceful. This I can control. This is you responding now. You're taking that pause. This is you responding to the situation rather than reacting. I will keep calm and peaceful. That's your affirmation to yourself in these moments. I will keep calm and peaceful. Number 3, I will respond with kindness and compassion to myself and others. So acceptance isn't about, so the kids are playing up, and you're not just going to come out of that and go, oh, you can have what you want. You can do whatever you want, kids. You're not going to go from doing this and then go, oh, you can do what you want. It's not about resigning. Acceptance is not about resigning to the thing. Kindness and compassion to myself and others. So what do you need to do in that situation when the kids are playing up, when you've done this and you've calmed yourself down and you've got the pause and you're about to respond? What can you do for yourself and others in that moment? How can you respond? Well, you can talk your boundaries. So you can say to your kids, obviously depending on how old they are, you can say, look, I need your help right now. Mommy's really tired. It's bedtime. It's time for bed. We've had a really good day. We've had our stories. We've got ready for bed. Now it's time for bed because Mummy has her time now. You may or may not tried this, and it still carries on. But the more we do it in that tone of voice, in that kindness to ourselves and others, it'll start to have an energy about it. Because the energy, what's the alternative? The energy is, okay, let's do this. Let's really deep dive in this, because this is not my forte, this, when it comes to doing it with the kids. That's why it was the first thing that came to my mind. So the kids are playing up. They're not going to bed. You've done that. And you'll have done that before in the past, and that's probably why you end up escalating and the voice comes out, right? And the shouting. And bedtime's just witching hour, isn't it? It's the time. So you've done that. You've done the calm voice. You've done the boundaries. You've talked your boundaries. They go to sleep, close the door, off you pop. 10 minutes later, they're up, they want a drink. They want this, though. Right. So that you can't control. You want, in that situation, an expectation that you want time to yourself. And the kindness in that is, yes, you deserve that time. You do. How can I get kindness to myself when I haven't got time for myself at all to give me the kindness and the attention I need? I get you. But what is shouting going to do in that moment? You can't control them. You can speak your boundaries, but you can't control them. If you've gotten onto their level, you've said where you're at in that moment, and you're asking them to honour that. But you can't control that. And depending on how old your kids is their comprehension of that. So the younger they are, the more difficult it is for us, because we're like, come on, I've told you, just give me a break here. But they really might not get it, and they just love you so much they want to be with you all the time, and I know this. So all you can do is you keep the voice low, keep the kindness to them in that moment, and know that your time will come. You will get that time, but it might not be for as long as you expected and wanted to control, but you will get it. So you go and do the same thing again, you say the same thing again, you put them to bed. And even if it keeps happening, that's all you can do. Maybe you sit with them for a little bit. Maybe you could ask them, why is they don't want to go to sleep? Are they excited they've had such a good day? Are they excited about a day tomorrow? What's going on with them? And really connect, because when we're in that space with our tone of voice and everything, we connect a lot more to other people, and other people connect a lot more to us. So maybe we just have to ask our kids, what's going on with you right now? Because when we're in expectation and a control, it's all about us. It's all about us. What can I get out of this situation? So we need to accept the situation, the person, and try and connect to see if the outcome can change that way. And if it doesn't, then we just have to keep accepting that moment. But in that situation, more connection is probably going to help than hinder. So give it a try. I will too. I will too. Because I've had a lot of things happen in my life. And that's why I became a mindfulness teacher, because it helped me through all of them. Burnout at work, loss of identity, stress, bereavements, 3 bereavements in 3 years, 3 major bereavements in 3 years. Massive, big things, big stuff. And it's helped me massively. The parenting thing, I struggle. Hands up. So I follow all the conscious parenting things and try and do it as best as I can and put the mindfulness into practice. And do you know what? I am going to be honest here. Look, I've just been honest. I've been vulnerable. But when you do these things, you might feel like it takes a bit more time, but they work. And it is a better connection, and it's a better atmosphere, a better energy. So if we think about another example, is you getting your kids out the door. They don't want to put the shoes on, everything's upstairs, they don't want to go and get it, even though you've told them 20 times to go and get them, we're leaving now. All the things, getting out of the house, right? So you've got option A. Option A is, hurry up, get your shoes on. I've told you this a million times. Get your shoes on. You're shoving their foot in the shoe and you're zipping up, and it's this energy is just so raw, right? You feel it, they feel it. You drag them into the car, they're kicking and screaming, you can't get them in the car seat. By the time you've even sat in the car to set off, you're up here. Your breathing's out of whack. Wherever you're going, God help them, because you're already in one, like that story I mentioned earlier. Right, that's option A. Option B. Can't get the shoes on. No, this doesn't work. No. Okay. Take a breath. Make that pause. Know you're accepting this situation and you're going to respond. Is this something I can change? Is there a way I can connect better with this child? Okay, what you're having difficulty with, can I help you? You gently get shoes on. you give them a hug. Right, so that's taken, and then eventually you walk nicely into the car, you get in, the energy's nice and calm, you get about your day, you get to your destination, and it's nice and it's high because you're not already up here. And that's taken what? No more than 30 seconds a minute to do that thing, the same thing, but in a calmer state of mind, expressing calmer. So, sorry, I added on a lot there at the end, but I have got these two little poems for you just to finish off. On acceptance, of course. This one is by Louise Wolfers. Acceptance. We cannot change yesterday. It's already gone, fading away. We live in the world, here today. Our presence exists, be what it may. Accept what life is, in your own way. Set a small goal just for today. Keep taking steps. It's like a relay. Forward you move, growing each day. Reflect on good things, no matter how small. Gratitude for life will make you feel tall. Write them all down. Remember each day. Then look back on life. It was really okay. That's a nice one. And then this one is, I am ready to accept, but the author is unknown. I'm ready to love and accept the reality of who I am, here and now. I will remember to balance my busy with rest. I will choose the path of stability and trust in my unique creative abilities. I will be my own rock solid center. I will be a safe container. I will see difficulties as opportunities. I will place my feet on the earth and breathe, feeling gratitude for all I have achieved. Okay, so that's all been about acceptance. I hope it's given you some value on acceptance, and any ahas, please do drop them in the comments. We've spoken about what acceptance is, why we resist acceptance, acceptance of self, acceptance of others, and how mindfulness can help with this. So yeah, I think we're done. Enjoy your day. Take care. Much love. Bye for now.